I was going to create my entities. Let's see, this is the IBM documentation. I have found about this from this learning resources. When you click the learning resources, this page will open and search this define information to look for in customer input. Herein you will find it, and you can also look from this. If you click here, it will directly open you to this page. I have used this. If you will click this, entities are like nouns on keywords. By building out your business term in entities, your assistant can provide targeted responses to queries, and you have to learn more about it. So I have clicked it here. So let us look into more into entities, defining information to look for in customer input. Entities represent information in the user input that is relevant to the user's purpose. Okay, if the intent presents verbs, the action a user wants to do. Okay, you should read this everything. For example, when the intent is to get a weather forecast, the relevant location and date entities are required before the application can return an accurate forecast. Recognizing entities in the user's input helps you to draft more useful targeted responses. For example, you might have a buy something intent. When a user makes a request that triggers the buy something intent, the assistant's response should reflect an understanding of what the something is that the customer wants to buy. You can add a product entity and then use it to extract information from the user input about the product that the customer is interested in. At the rate prepended to the entity name helps to clearly identify it as an entity. If you want to identify something as an entity, you have to add this. If you add this at the rate, the entity name this will create that it is an entity. It will create as an entity. Finally, we can add multiple responses to your dialog tree with wording that differs based on the add product value that is detected in the user's request. Entity evaluation overview. Your assistant detects entities in the user by the input by using one of the following evaluation methods. Okay, synonyms and dictionary based method, annotation based method. Okay, creating entities. Here how to create the entity, it has all mentioned it here. Let's look into this. Synonym entity. You define a category of terms as an entity, color, and then one or more values in that category. Blue, aqua, navy. For each value you specify a bunch of synonym. Okay, so for this color blue, we have adding synonyms as aqua and navy. Bunch of synonyms. Okay, you can also pick a synonym to add from recommendation made to you by Watson. Okay, at run time, your assistant recognizes terms in the user input that exactly match the value or synonym that you defined for the entity as mentions of that entity. Pattern entity. You define a category of terms as an entity. Contact info. Okay, and then this is pattern entity, this is synonym entity. Okay, so contact info is email. Okay, then one or more values in the entity. For each value you specify a regular expression that defines the textual pattern of mentions of that value type. For an email entity value, you might want to specify a regular expression that defines a email ID pattern. At runtime, your system looks for pattern matching your regular expression in the input and identifies any matches mention of that entity. System entity that are pre-built for you by IBM. They cover commonly used categories. Okay. Annotation based method. What does it have in here? When you define an annotation based entity, which is also referred to as a contextual entity, a model is trained on which the annotation term and the context in which the term is used in the sentence you annotate. This new contextual entity model enables your assistants to calculate a definite confidence score that identifies how likely a word or phrase is to be an instance of an entity based on how it is used in the user input. Okay. Contextual entity. First, you define a category of terms as an entity is a product. Okay. Just analyze it what we are speaking. Just don't speak. Okay, analyze what we are speaking. Here is some examples. See, for example, you might go to buy something intent and find a user example that says I want to buy a coach bag. You can label coach bag as a mention of the product entity. Oh, okay. I want to buy a goosey bag. I want to buy a coach bag. Goosey bag as a product. Yes. Open your dialog box, see here, and create entity. You can create entity. You can also click system entity to select from a list of common entity provided by IBM that can be applied to any use cases. Okay, and the product entity, take a descriptive name of the entity. Okay, this do not include spaces in the name. The name cannot be longer than 64 characters. There are some restrictions. See, you cannot keep a space in between the name, so that's why here it has mentioned underscore, and the name cannot be longer than 64 characters. Do not begin the name with the string this, because it is reserved for system entities. Okay, don't use this. This is pretended to the entity name automatically to identify the term as an entity. You don't need to add it. Okay. Okay. In the value name field, type a value, for example. Okay, and it can be any. Okay. Fuzzy matching, you should keep it on. Let me pull up my document on which I have food insecurity. Okay, then I will show further.